Hello everyone, welcome to another video. This one's a bit of a different format to my usual nonsensical videos that you might have seen before. Today I'm actually joined by a lovely co-star named Sooo. Do you want to say hi to the camera?
Hi, camera.
So you know why we're here today. Do you want to explain to everyone what we're doing?
Yeah, I'm gonna be learning more about Hytale. I already know a little bit about the game since you talk about it every second of every day.
That's true.
But I have a lot of questions since we're gonna be playing it together in the future.
So yeah, you sent me a couple questions. I got them answered in the format of a slideshow because why not? And yeah, the first topic that you kind of hinted towards knowing a little bit about, but not too much, was the zones. So to start us off, let's just hear what you actually know. Do you wanna tell us, based on this image and whatever I've yapped about? Yeah, tell us what you know about zones so far.
So far, I know that there are 4 zones that they've announced.
That's true.
I've seen pictures, and I'm pretty sure they have like different types of animals and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't really know that much, actually.
Yeah, that's all good. So yeah, it's pretty similar to what you've said already. So the zones basically split up different regions within the world that's called Orbis. It splits it up into kind of groups of biomes. Like, you know how in Minecraft you would be walking around and you go between a jungle and a desert?
Yeah.
And those biomes are fairly similar, so they kind of tend to spawn or be generated close together, most of the time at least. It's the same idea. So you'll have certain biomes in Zone 1, for example, that all look very similar to each other. Same with each zone. And then this image in particular is actually a concept art from 2019 when this was released, but it was when the first original trailer came out, not to be confused with my exceptional superior trailer that was released a couple of days ago.
Right,
yeah. So like right after that trailer, this image was released, hinting towards 2 more zones. We really don't know much about it. We don't even know if we've actually seen these zones yet. A lot of people speculate that some of the structures that we've seen in the game actually do relate to these zones, but we really don't know much about it. And then another thing a lot of people don't really know that gets announced as the game was developed was that based on the zones, that kind of forms a continent of sorts where all the zones are connected together. And past that, as you'll see a little later, there are huge oceans. And after those oceans, there have been hints of some sort of extended infinite generation, but we haven't actually had much confirmation on that. So yeah, that's it.
Cool.
So yeah,
Wait,
moving
I have
on.
a question.
Let's hear your question.
When you like start the game, do you spawn in zone 1 or do you spawn in a random zone?
That is a great question, and 2 answers to that. They had previously talked about the fact that you would spawn in either zone 1, 2, or 3. Recently, I believe there was a kind of retraction on that statement, saying that they have made it so you only spawn in zone 1. And that leads me to the bottom right image, actually. Simon had talked about the fact that zone 1 was the place that you spawn, and he said that in testing, a lot of people were dying to the bears a lot. So yeah, he said that they had to nerf the bears, apparently.
Wow.
That's a little fun factoid for development, I guess. But yeah, this is zone 1, so this will more than likely be the one that you spawn in when you load up the survival mode, or adventure mode as it's known as. So yeah, some things we can see here. It's obviously very lush, green. It seems a little more inviting than some of the later zones that you'll see. It's the home of the native Quebecs, which are a staple in the Hytale community, I suppose. You can kind of see how from the top right image to the bottom left, how the model has changed. Like, it looks a little shorter, I guess, and a little more crisp than the top right image. So yeah, that's something. They hold little leaf spears and other weapons, so that's cool.
Are they friendly?
That is a good question. From all we know, we assume they're friendly because each zone actually has two main species that we've seen, and they usually are the antithesis of each other. So the Quebecs are considered the good guys. Well, I mean, depending on who you ask, a lot of people really, their main goal is to set them on fire. So
Oh.
yeah. So I guess it depends. But the other main species in Zone 1 would be Trorcs. So they're supposed to be the antithesis to Quebecs, but who really knows? We'll see when we get in the game on January 13th. Coming up close, we're getting there. But yeah, do you have any questions? No?
No. I think this will probably be my favorite zone, though.
Nice.
It's very pretty and
Yeah.
chill.
No, I can understand that. It looks like a good vibe and definitely a good place to build homes and stuff, I would say. Yeah. Okay, moving on to Zone 2. What do you know about Zone 2? I mean, the images kind of speak for themselves, but what do you know so far?
I know it's like deserty. Well, I can see that. And is that like Succession?
Succession en français?
Like
Qu'est-ce que c'est?
in geology, you know how like they show different generations of.
Oh, I see what you mean. Oh, I believe it more relates to, well, it could be like a layer of limestone or something.
Mhm.
I've never actually thought about that. I assumed it was just more like a mesa biome where the different layers are formed from different layers of rock. I didn't think about the fact that they could actually be formed from different time periods. That's an interesting question. I don't
The
have
bio
an answer.
major in me.
Oh yeah, for real. So yeah, some of the things we can talk about. On the top left, have you even heard of what Scarix are?
No, and they look scary, and
Yeah.
they look like the bugs from Wreck-It Ralph.
The bugs. Oh yeah, they do. I've never put that together. That's so true. Like the main one, the warrior.
Yeah.
That actually does look like. So they're one of the two main species of Zone 2. Okay, they're supposed to be the bad guys. And there is a whole hint to them enslaving another species, which, yeah, I don't really know what that's about. Simon's confirmed that pretty much all of the lore for the game has been scrapped, and they're planning on redoing pretty much everything. So, yeah, we'll see about that. I included some images of some of the other species you can find, like the Mario camels. I'm gonna keep referring to them as Koopas or. They're so cute. You know what? Koopa camels. That's what they're gonna go as from now on. And yeah, obviously it's very deserty. There's gonna be a lot of hot biomes. On the bottom left, you can actually see an example of an oasis that you can find. So these will be
Ooh.
like little spurts of water that have a little more luscious vegetation, and I guess crocodiles are a part of that, which is pretty cool. You can see in the bottom right image, there's a structure way in the background. There'll be structures throughout the entire game. We've seen them in Zone 1, 2, 3, and 4 actually, so you're guaranteed to find tons of structures. We've seen lots of concept art of them and seen them in game, and they look pretty fun to explore. So yeah, I'm interested to try those out. Moving on to Zone 3, because Canada, it's literally just Canada for 8 months out of the year.
Gross.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, what do you know about this one?
I don't think I've even seen this one before.
Okay, that's a good start. So yeah, this is all the wintry biomes, as you can imagine, like icebergs and evergreen forests and tundras, taiga biome, that sort of the whole category, I guess you could say. I got an image of an ice cave because I thought those looked really cool. There's lots of videos I can show you about the ice caves because apparently they show a lot of them and they always look amazing. I have one image on the top right of a kind of weird looking tree, as you can see. So there is a lot of stuff hinting towards void or like corruption being part of the game. And We don't know if that has to do with the lore or if as you're playing through the survival, corruption will spread or what it's really about. We don't really know much other than that it's a thing and they show images showcasing that feature. So that's something to think about, I guess, and something we'll hopefully see when we join in early access. I have 2 images on the bottom of Outlander, which are these guys on the left, of their camps that you'll find. They're pretty massive, which is, like, if you think about it, that's like a whole village that you can explore, not just a little structure. So pretty interesting thing that we can run into for sure. So Outlanders are supposed to be like corrupted humans, which again ties into the whole corruption thing. So they were once human and through, I don't know, insert lore here, they became corrupted. We've seen some pretty cool images of their AI, like them out hunting bison and stuff.
Oh, cool.
Which, yeah, I don't know where the AI is at this current moment in time, but the idea of them eventually being able to go out and hunt and stuff, that sounds pretty cool. Any more questions about this zone?
No.
Alrighty, so let's let's move on to zone 4. So I think
Dinosaur.
Oh yeah, dinosaurs. I think this will be the zone that you're most excited about because of the dinosaurs. I've included 2. There's been more that they've actually shown. On the top right, you can see way in the back there's a little T-Rex just peering on. I don't know if you even
Creepy.
saw that in the beginning, but yeah. Also in the top right, you can see kind of in that little hut. I'm pointing it out on the video. I'll actually circle it for everyone, but you can see a little dude there, right? It's small, but right in there's a guy called a Slothian. That is one of the main species of Zone 4. We don't really know much about them. We assume they're the good guys. That's what their houses look like, I suppose. We've seen some more images of them. Just wanted to showcase kind of what that looks about. Now, do you know the kind of interesting thing about Zone 4? Have I ever talked to you about that?
I don't think so.
So, yeah, as you can see, there is a bit of juxtaposition between the like top left and bottom right image versus the other 2.
Yeah.
So the reason for that is Zone 4 is built in a way that the top layer or top few layers are actually basically just wastelands. Like there'll be ash everywhere and fire, lava, basically everything's dead, including vegetation. So it'll most likely be a more difficult area to explore.
Yeah.
Also, you can see that the like skeletons and stuff actually have armor and they look a little more powerful for sure. So we'll have to see how difficult it actually is fighting them. But yeah, so the top sections of Zone 4 are terrible. Then you go underground, pretty far underground from concept art that we've seen, and you get to a point where you're in these massive caverns and you start to see vegetation and then you see dinosaurs.
Cool.
So it's kind of like Ice Age in that sense.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, exactly. So you go underground and you'll stumble across this ancient species of sloths, I guess. And then, yeah, the dinosaurs too. So I'm excited to explore this. It's a really cool idea, and I feel like people don't give enough credit for how cool it'll be to go into a cave and see it be that massive, you know?
I like the idea that like on the top is different from on the bottom.
Yeah, for sure. And also just looking up, you'll see the massive caverns, right? So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see.
This a volcano in the back?
In the back, I don't know. I've never really thought of it because it's red and smoky, right? So yeah, I've never thought about there might be volcanoes down there, but it could just be like lighting from something else. I'm not really sure. Yeah, that's Zone 4. So another thing you asked me about were pets.
Yes.
So I mean, you can see some images here. Do you have anything that you already know about pets that you can say?
I know they exist.
That's a great point. That's true. So yeah, the usual like dogs and cats are in the game. I can't for the life of me think if we've seen more than one species of cat. I only remember seeing the tuxedo cat, right? So I don't know yet. I'm sure there will be other species eventually, but as of now, I only know of the tuxedo cat. How we get them, like in the wild and stuff, no clue. We haven't seen anything about how we would go about taming dogs and cats. Chickens and sheep are a little more interesting, and cattle and all the animals you would want to domesticate. I think it'll be very similar to Minecraft in the sense that you just hoard them up and start breeding them. It's pretty cool that you have a chicken coop. And what's
Yeah.
interesting is in this image, have you spotted a predator anywhere? So in the far back left,
Oh.
yeah, you can see a little fox back there.
Scared.
Yeah, so they had hinted at the fact that there'll be mechanics where foxes will actually try and hunt your chickens or rabbits. So yeah, this is pretty interesting, right? So more than likely we'll have to actually create barriers or fences at least, or maybe have a guard dog on site to prevent the foxes.
A guard corgi?
Guard corgi, yeah. Yeah. That'll be interesting. Yeah, I like the image of the corgi riding the giant turtle. That's
Yeah.
both pretty cool.
Is that a thing that just happens?
Who knows? And then yeah, final note is mice. So they're a little interesting. We've seen them. If you drop cheese, they'll go up and eat the cheese, which is
Aw.
cute. But they've also talked about the fact that mice will actually lead you to dungeons. So if you follow a mouse, I can't recall if they specifically said mice or rats, because they're both in the game, but I believe it's mice. They'll lead you down to treasures in dungeons.
Like in Coraline.
Yeah, exactly. And do they actually still have that? Who knows? A lot of the game's probably very different, but because we're going back to the previous engine, we'll see kind of the same mechanics that they had talked about way back when. So yeah, I think that'll be interesting.
I like how instead of like in Minecraft, the babies are just like the same thing but smaller. The
Yeah,
baby
like the-
chickens are actual chicks.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
they're so cute.
Yeah, they are very cute. No, I do like it a lot, and I love how dopey the chicken is too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do agree. I think it'll be nice having a little more unique dynamics
Yeah.
than just having a copy paste animal, like you said, with
Yeah.
just a smaller size. But yeah, I'm really interested to see how they expand on their roster of animals, because there are like literally hundreds of creatures that they've shown, and how they're gonna make models for like different species of cats and dogs and that sort of thing. I don't know. I assume eventually, especially dogs, because cats they could just offer reskins for, but dogs you would actually need a new model, right? So I don't know. We'll have to see where they go about doing all of that. But yeah, that's it for pets. Any questions you have for me?
We're getting a cat.
That's not a question, but I agree. Next slide. So you also talked about mini games.
Oh yeah.
Mini games. So, well, I mean, you know what Hypixel is.
Of course.
You've played tons of Hypixel. So you know that they're pretty dang good at making mini games. What I'm interested in is how they're going to implement it. Now that they've created the tools to actually be able to envision or like actually produce what they've envisioned, I'm really interested to see where they go with it, right? Because I believe the reason that they initially started making Hytale was purely from the fact of they felt restricted in what they could develop in Minecraft. So I'm really curious to see what their plans are with it. They said that they will have official servers eventually, but straight out the gate, I believe their plan is to just make it so people can test features and they can keep updating it till the game is properly playable. And then from there, they can explore hosting official servers. So we'll see about that, but I'm sure they've got a lot cooking. I know they just created a new dungeon crawler minigame on the Hypixel server, so they will probably implement a very similar thing into the game. So that'll be exciting to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it for mini games. Do you have any questions?
No questions, but I think it's gonna be really cool to see like how they can make the games better, the new engine and everything.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm really excited to see how, based on what they've created already, how they can remake old games like Skywars,
Yeah.
Hunger Games, those sort of things. I'm really interested to see if they would immediately start by trying to remake old games or just produce completely new ideas that they couldn't do before. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. A little note, you can see that in the background. They have people wearing little helicopters. We don't know if those are still in the game per se, but they did show off a glider, so they've at least added a glider, and they added it because people were asking for one. It's a cool introduction to the game, right? Because you're at a point where you know that they're listening to everyone, and when feedback is given and they're listening to it, you know that it'll eventually produce a really good game.
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes me excited. Next up, the final interesting thing I believe you asked me was about magic.
The Gathering?
The gathering. Tune in later for our playthrough of it. So, yeah, in terms of magic, there's not much to say yet.
Okay.
Because they have shown off a couple things. As you can see in the concept art, they have like a staff, right? A wooden staff. You can see that staff in the game, so you know it exists. We believe that from what they've shown so far, each type of crystal will produce some sort of different magic. Like for instance, maybe a green crystal has to do with more nature-oriented magic, and what would be an example? Like a red one might produce fireballs or something, right? So we're kind of gathering slowly from gameplay and stuff that there is some difference in the types of staffs. We've seen crystals and places like little runes where you can find crystals. Those will probably be what you use to craft like a staff that you can shoot fireballs or whatever from. In the concept art, they hint at wands too. We don't know if that's a thing. They've never showcased it as far as I know. So yeah, we don't know too much about it. Do you have any questions so far?
No.
Okay. So then the other thing I wanted to mention was the inventory. You can see that in the right bottom side of the characters side of the inventory that there's little blue sections. Those blue sections have to do with mana. It's kind of hard to see on the screen, but yeah, that has to do with mana. The assumption there is that every time you cast a spell, it'll use mana, and how you get that mana back, we don't know. There'll probably be a potion that can regenerate mana quicker. You'll probably regenerate it over time, who knows. But that's something to think about. Another thing with the inventory that I thought was cool is you can see how it's actually changed over time. The bottom image is the old inventory that we had seen, and the top one is one that Simon recently posted. So there's a couple little changes, but nothing too major. You can see that you'll be able to craft stuff in the inventory, and you can use a workbench to craft things. So yeah, very similar to other survival games. One thing they show in the older image, the one on the bottom, is that there's a tier system to weapons, like an uncommon, a rare, a super rare, whatever. We don't actually know if that's still in the game, because in recent images, I don't believe we've seen anything to do with that as far as I know. I can't think off the top of my head if we've seen any rarity stuff. Also, they could just not want to spoil later game items, so we don't really know. You can see that some things stack up to 250.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that.
Yeah, so there seems to be a difference. You can see the logs are stacking to 50, 250 for those sticks.
I wonder if it's based on their size.
Yeah, it most likely, it would make sense. I don't see why they wouldn't do it that way. I think people, from what I heard, were pretty disappointed by the fact that blocks only stack to 50, just because if you're wanting to build a massive structure, only having 50 blocks in each slot might get annoying, but I'm sure there'll be workarounds for that. But I also like the idea of taking time with builds, you know? Like, if you're starting a world, then you build your dream house immediately. It doesn't really feel like you've actually accomplished much. But yeah, that's kind of it. Do you have any more questions that you can think of about the game, or?
I think you mentioned that there were backpacks in the game?
Yeah. So there are backpacks in the inventory. You can see a little backpack slot. I believe they're in the crafting menu. That's why that hammer is lit up. But the backpack is also an option. I don't know what that third one is. Possibly a glider. It's got the symbol of Gaia, which is one of the creatures in the lore.
Oh.
So maybe that has to do with magic. No one really knows, I guess, as far. But if there's any experts listening, feel free to chip in with your knowledge and wisdom. But yeah, as far as that goes, I think that's kind of it from the questions you asked. So yeah, any last final notes?
Tune in January 13th.
Yeah, Jan 13th.
We have some plans.
We've got some big plans coming up. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
We'll start up a world together. I'm not gonna say much about our plans for it, but yeah, hopefully they'll release more info about server hosting and stuff so that we can join with ease. But as for now, I think that's kind of it. So thank you guys for watching. I'm excited about the upcoming release. Remember that Thankmas is coming out on December 13th, and you'll be able to pre-order the game on that same day. So something to think about. It'll be a fun time. I hope you guys can come out for a good cause. So yeah, be there and be square. That's the motto of this of this week. Yeah, but that's it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys later. Bye.